This is Senate Appropriations, and we are not on the budget adjustment at this point. We've been asked to review reports that are required and whether they should be repealed, extended, or retained. And I would say that any report that we ask for is basically an expenditure of money in the sense that it takes staffing resources, and the question is, are we getting, how is it the utility, should we continue requiring these reports? And so we need to go down through. I'm a little confused about the red column expires. Do you, how to interpret that?
Yeah, it's some of the expired.
So, so the first is Agency of Human Services. It goes to a lot of places: homeless, emergency shelter grants, and case management. I imagine we would want to retain that. That's grants to, in this day and age.
But why, but the question is, it expires in 2017. Why is it still alive?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a question we're trying to figure out. We'll figure that out later.
Okay. Yeah, but we want it.
Okay. Treasurer, this is Private Activity Bond Advisory Report. Feel passionately?
No.
Has the treasurer said anything about this?
No, it's a report we require of the treasurer. Private Activity Bond Advisory Committee Annual Report. I mean, we have to approve private activity bond funding on the e-board. So, and I don't remember getting this one. Do you remember this?
It expired in 2017.
So the, when I did a little research, says the committee dissolved in 2015, the specific committee that did this report.
Well, then we
It's
want,
never been done again?
so we want an advisory committee that no longer exists to provide us with a report.
Get rid of this one.
I guess.
So that one's gone.
Yeah. All right, special funds report. What does the expiration mean? Do you know?
So I think, again, you know, I'm still catching up here, but I think that there's a 2 VSEA 20D talks about how after, says the General Assembly established an intent to repeal certain reporting requirements after 5 years. So I think it has to do with when it was put into law was in 2012, I think, and then 5 years would be 2017, it expired. So I don't know why this is still on your list.
But it hasn't been taken out of statute. Is that what that means?
Correct, that's right.
So what we would do is
Let's take it out of statute.
take it out of statute,
Nobody-
let it stay in for another 5 years.
Well, except
I'm not sure, yeah, I know.
I know.
Kind of like the sunset.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going. Special funds created prior to FY, it doesn't say what, but I think we do need that report because I think we need to clean it up, to be honest. And I do think we need to have a report on special funds and the balance. So shall we retain it? Okay.
And they've met since 2018.
What, the special funds?
The special funds, because it said it expired in 2018.
Well, we've been getting it.
And we've been
We don't know
getting
what
it.
that
Then we
expiration
should-
means.
Then we should have that.
Retain.
Just keep it.
Although we were wondering why we don't close out some of those reports, but
Right.
special funds. All right. For non-point source pollution programs.
As state financial
I
assistant.
mean, it could be that they're not issuing the reports anymore because they're expired, but we need to decide whether to take them out of statute or not. Maybe that's, who did Tucker create this?
Oh, can we look at our instructions?
It'd be good if Tucker was available.
Who put together this document?
I don't know.
Tucker.
I think he did.
If Tucker, would it be helpful to have him
Yeah.
here
Well,
as
if
we
he
go
can come
through?
in, all right, because
Can you vote?
Let's just see if he's available right now.
And it looks like there's the statutory is a link, but it's not really a link. Because it would be helpful if you could just click on it and see the language.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not a live link,
Oh, it's not.
just blue underlined the T's. Is going through, going back to
Okay,
find.
here's something interesting. Delayed, 2014 delayed to 2018.
Yeah.
So, hello, and then it's expires 2018. I'm not sure what.
They delayed it to the expiration.
And one, Act 142, that must be the big bill that year, maybe?
Because this isn't the special funds report, this is just which, if they created any new special funds prior to the fiscal year that we're working on. But yeah.
I need to find the
But
instructions.
we
I
only
got
have
from Tucker.
hundreds.
Yeah, I know, right. But that report they do, where they say, here are all the special funds that have the balance in it. But I think this is like, okay, we created yet another special.
There's the old lady that used to get money for some blow up. Is
Oh,
she dead?
I think so. They, a dynamite accident, they were building a road and she
Yep.
got injured or something.
She-
Very,
We had a special fund for it.
Oh, and she lived to be, because that was in here forever, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. I don't know if that's here.
Not a report.
I don't know. Can you find the instructions that I got from Tucker? Thank you. All right. The general, we established an intent to repeal certain requirements after 5 years. And then it requires the Ledge Council to prepare a list subject to repeal in each biennium. So the attached spreadsheet identifies reports that are subject to the 5-year repeal from 2017 to 2026.
But they're gonna be repealed if we do nothing, the red ones, I guess.
I guess. If a report is repealed, the information provides will still remain available if you request it. So rather than having reports that nobody reads, I guess it's sort of, you need it, request it. The question is whether a legislatively required ongoing report is necessary for legislative work. Eliminating unnecessary reporting allows the agency to redirect their staff. So we would suggest that I ask you, have you used and will you use these reports in legislative decisions? And I think we're struggling with that. And please return by the 19th. So we have to say it's no longer useful and should be repealed. It is useful, but not a permanent, and then we could just extend and it's fundamental and should be permanently required. Those are 3 choices. Oh,
Actually, what you just did makes it easier.
that's true. Yeah. So we're down to ag for non-point source pollution programs. Should we just put that extend but not permanently? What do we want to do? Bobby's not here. I guess we should wait until
Natural
Bobby comes.
resources might want it.
Right, we might.
Well, the question, right, but they're having to fill this out too. Because they
I
don't,
would want it.
because it goes to a variety of committees. So the question, do we want, this is painful.
I don't think we need it, because you could get this, that's a point of information that's pretty easy for them to just tell us.
Can ask for it.
All right.
Say, how much money was it last year?
It seems like if you were using it, yeah. So that would be just repeal.
The same with the next one. Household weatherization, use of appropriations. So do we have yearly appropriations? Is that through Efficiency Vermont? Is that what we're talking about?
I think that would probably be that through OEO and it's from the
Could be OEO,
fuel,
yeah.
home heating fuel
Right.
tax, weatherization. And they report it and estimate the number of gallonage avoided and so forth.
If we want it, we can ask for it.
All right, so shall we
Exit.
repeal it, and then if people want to know, they can get it.
Same with weatherization data management.
All right, let's repeal.
And then,
Choices for care, savings, reinvestment.
we should have that, because
Extend.
that's informative.
Yeah, it will extend.
Making decisions.
All right, proposed reinvestment.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that really part of the budget?
It is.
Hmm.
It's part of the budget adjustment process. It says.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah. So I think we've set it up that way, so I guess we should retain it. Primary prevention, delinquency, what do you think, Dick? That doesn't even go to you.
No,
Doesn't go to judiciary?
no, it's primary prevention.
Oh, but it's juvenile delinquency.
It's a plan.
We don't even know who does it.
Let's keep it.
I think it's the, they got a new name.
The prevention
Used
council?
to be, it
Right.
was always run by Amy Davenport. They have a new name under federal law, and Karen Bastine is now the head of it.
All right, so do you have an opinion on that one?
Yeah, I think we should keep it.
Plan to address issues from audit reports.
Huh?
All audit reports, it seems like,
Let's just X that if we need it.
Yeah, on demand, I think. And this submitted annually with budget testimony, homelessness, emergency grants and management. Isn't that, is that different than the report on number right at the top? Homelessness, emergency grants and case management, that's the first one. And this is homelessness, emergency shelter grants and management.
This is with budget testimony. Is there a difference? This, because of the budget, this other one is case management. So it's going to be slightly different in looking at.
All right, well, submitted with annual, I guess we probably want to keep that.
Which one?
the
You want to keep up?
submitted
What's
with
submitted
annual,
with
but
annual budget testimony?
Yeah.
Report on substance abuse treatment services delivery programs successes.
We can ask for that.
Yeah, you know, it really should be, policy committees really should be looking at that kind of data.
Yeah.
In other words, what are our outcomes?
Exactly.
We don't seem to be gaining on that front. In terms of
Working on a bill right
addiction
now,
and,
that's all.
all right, so what do we decide we would do?
With that one,
Yeah,
I would say we can ask for the information.
okay. I don't even remember getting a report on that. And do you remember?
Well, it's not January 15th.
It is.
What's today?
Oh, no, what is today?
That's-
Oh, January 15th is Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a holiday for some people.
Well, yeah, it would be, except
Yeah.
my sister Gilly signed us up to do the community dinner. So,
It's a holiday for everybody else in town.
yeah.
yeah, right,
Very good.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so.
can't believe I got roped into that again. All right, so report on substance abuse, service delivery program success. And it goes to you too, Jenny.
Which one? Oh, that one. I just said we can ask for that information if we need it. And we should be getting it when we're doing any,
We should be, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll just, we're getting rid of a lot, aren't we?
Yeah, good.
we're doing.
Repeal? We're repealing that one too?
Well, it's not repealed. It's just.
No, it's just
hidden.
get it when you need it.
Yeah,
Oh, annual update to 5-year IT plan for the state. Well, I guess we should get a 5-year plan.
But it's
but
annual.
are we gonna read a
update.
5-year
You want an
IT
annual
plan
update
for
on that?
appropriations? Unless they come in and ask for money for it, and if they come and ask money for it, we'll say, well, what's the plan? Like, if they just send us a plan every year, we're not gonna read that.
All right, so
Well, you've got that special committee now.
the oversight, JITOC.
Yeah, the IT oversight
Yeah,
committee
that's
you're on.
JITOC. I'm not on it. I put Tom Chittenden, now he's bailing.
That's like Westman wants to do.
No, we, at one point, we're spending all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
money, we had no plan at all. So the question really is, what's the tracking document to track what's being spent? Is that is it now coming through the budget process, or are we getting a report? Because we're literally spending millions in IT, as you well know.
But some of it comes from the capital bill.
Yep, and that's part of the problem. Some of it was coming through capital bill, some of it is coming through bill backs for different.
I think it
agencies.
should go to, we think it should go to JITOC.
I agree.
Yes, it should go there, but
That's a statutory change.
Yeah.
yes,
We don't wanna lose the report.
no, because you
Yeah, but
need
send it-
some place where
Yeah, we do.
everybody's collecting.
But,
So would
Just
you
change
mind,
appropriations to JICA.
yeah,
Change.
yeah, joint in IT, JITOC. All right. Okay, all right.
are we keeping it or are we
We're
hiding it?
keeping it, but it's only gonna go to JITOC.
Got it.
And then if anybody else wants it, they
It's
can.
there at least,
All right,
but somebody's gotta collect
It
that.
goes to government.
all right, next, quarterly Medicaid program enrollment and expenditures.
Oh, quarterly is just over the top, but I get these, and I'm sure you get them too, look at them, but I'm thinking.
No, I'm not sure I do.
Yeah, we get them in the email. I always get them in the email. Do you wanna keep it? I'm happy to have it if we need it.
I think that's right.
Yeah, let's ask for it.
All right,
Because
so
we're gonna,
just
we have to
upon
get that
request.
anyway with any decision.
Yeah, and joint fiscal is, you're getting 52 points, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
If something weird happens, we'll know.
Well, do you need it quarterly or would every 6 months?
we're
Well,
getting rid of it, because we get, joint fiscal gets it.
Okay,
They're getting, well, we don't get the caseload.
I think leave it, except not, it's hidden. Let's write it right.
What?
send it to joint fiscal.
Yeah,
Oh,
because actually Nolan did, I remember one time, I forget when it was, last year, year before.
Now we should repeal it.
He sent me an email and said, did you see the quarterly report, because it's.
You just repeal them all.
Yeah.
Like fiscal one.
And then
But does it,
when people-
do you need it quarterly?
I don't know whether, that's a.
yeah, you do need it quarterly. Actually, we monitor expenditures weekly,
Okay.
because it's such a big program.
Yeah.
And you've got people who are.
All right, I guess we should probably, we're gonna keep that then?
But
Yes.
it would be better to go to
We're
joint fiscal.
hiding it, we're hiding it. For
What
me,
do
it's,
you mean by hiding?
it means it's still in statute,
Repeal.
but they're not sending it out to us. No, we're not repealing.
Not extend, is that
We're
extended?
just, what I understood from the
The fourth- the
instruction.
fourth
maybe
category of
correct me if
high.
I'm wrong.
They create it, but don't give it to us.
They have the data, they create the data,
If
but they
we
don't make
need
it.
the information, they'll have it available.
I see.
But
All
we
right,
don't
the
need to
question
have them
is-
send it out.
Are we using quarterly caseload and expenditures? No, we're not.
No.
We are using, the estimated annual and,
But decision-making for Medicaid is every 30 days, so quarterly isn't over the top when you think about that for the participants.
Is appropriations needed?
no.
Because the question is just
No.
about appropriations right now, just the whole
Oh,
budget.
that's right.
Because you need it
Thank
in
you.
your.
Thank you.
All right, so. Well, we want the 52, but that's, enrollment. That's expenditure, and this is enrollment.
I
Uh,
don't look at it.
No,
Which one are you on?
The same one. Report on Medicaid program enrollment. Quarter.
we're doing something riveting.
No,
We really need the pro tems firepower.
I appreciate
we
the
need someone with
opportunity
good decision-making skills.
to weigh in on this.
Well, my enthusiasm is probably so apparent.
Well, right now, they all go to appropriations and health and welfare, so
Well, I'll have to
Take some
say,
education.
monitoring that caseload and expenditure, I think we probably should, we should retain that. It's so big. Okay. All right, so now we're on to the second page. This is what annual appropriations bill, programs for children with severe emotional disturbance, including system of care plan.
Well, it only comes in annually with the request, right?
No, it says it comes with the appropriation bill.
So it's put into the budget. So if we take it out, it won't be put in the budget.
Well, I don't remember seeing that, SED. I don't know, I'm just gonna put a question mark there. I don't know, I'll see if I can find out more about it. It seems more, it seems like so much of this, and I guess it ties into, reports that tell us what we're getting for our money. I don't know, it seems like, including system of care plan. You know, I'm gonna suggest maybe we take appropriations off, but health and welfare may want that. I don't know, Ginny, what?
Yep, no, that's good. And
So-
I don't need it unless I ask for it.
All right, so what would we take off that?
The committee will.
Repeal? Repeal, all right. Emergency homelessness, emergency shelter grant and management. How many different places are we doing that?
Wait, is that the third one?
Yes,
Okay, what is it?
That's
Shelter
separate on
grants.
this page.
but
And one is case management and the other is management.
And later on, there are a couple of more GA programs.
maybe we should look at
Let's just keep
consolidation.
let's keep the more recent one, 2020.
And get rid of this, we got rid of the, no, the 17th we retained, but
kept
maybe
it.
we should repeal that one.
Let's get rid of that one.
And then, retain the 2021.
Yeah.
They put this one report together and send it twice.
Evaluation of pre-kindergarten programs.
That's important right now.
Is it important for appropriation?
Probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the whatchamacallit.
What, for the whatchamacallit?
Yeah, the new, I know we passed last year.
Childcare.
Right.
Oh,
childcare.
after school, no, with the
Universal
childcare, yeah,
This is,
pre-kindergarten.
And the after school is important.
there should be another,
I mean, it's an important report, but I just don't imagine we're reading it unless we need to, and then if we need to, we go get it.
here's my question. We have this one. And then we also have a request for an evaluation of pre-K programs that came out of the child care bill. So this is one statutory request. And now there must be another one somewhere, it's not on this sheet that I can see. So the question is how.
Shall we hold it, and you wanna check on that?
Question, yeah.
Okay.
So is this specific to 3 and 4-year-olds?
No. I don't think so.
No, pre-K.
Well, what is pre-K?
Well, the programs piece of it was the 3 and 4-year-olds.
Do we, I don't remember getting this, an evaluation of
That we
pre-kindergarten
passed
programs.
last year
The last
was
time was
including
2019 online.
whether to include and how to include 5-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
but this was from 2020.
Let me, the last time it was, obviously, we must be using it, because it hasn't been produced since 2019. So we haven't noticed its absence, the absence of it.
Right, so
No, and there's a new one in the child care bill that
Yeah, all right,
people are talking about.
all right, so let's get rid of it. Okay. All right, utilization of services and expenses under choices for care. Suppose we should retain that.
Yes,
Should it be permanent? Or just extend?
keep it going, yes.
Extend or permanent?
Just extend.
extend. I hate to make anything permanent.
Yeah.
Statewide concerning emergency housing vouchers. What is that? Emergency,
This section 8 vouchers,
no,
no?
It's emergency.
emergency
Emergency,
housing
yeah.
vouchers. 21,
This doesn't have anything to do with GA, does it?
emergency housing.
Emergency housing.
You know, I think what we ought to do is, we should really look at all the housing and emergency housing related and see if in fact there should be, this might be a way of consolidating some reports. So maybe
ask those questions.
So maybe we will, I'm gonna, and what our feedback would be that there seems to be over time duplication,
Yeah.
and maybe we should look at one
Complete report dealing with the
with
whole thing.
emergency housing,
Emergency
shelters,
housing,
and case
shelters.
management, et cetera. Okay. Inventory of grants awarded. Oh my God, that page, that's huge.
I remember this one.
It's like hundreds of grants.
So this one was very useful to us when we were making decisions about how to improve the grants reporting process. I don't remember seeing one of those since, but there's no date on this. Did this just start in 2021?
I don't know.
Oh, it could have,
Yeah,
because
So it expired in 2020.
it had to start in 2016.
2016.
Okay, yeah, so that's when that started.
Yeah.
So
So-
why don't we just say we'll ask for that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we'll repeal and just upon request.
There's your,
AHS progress in improving grants management.
And that's part of that 2016 thing that we just did. We asked them to consolidate grant requirements and criteria.
They're doing this,
So let's just X that one.
I think so, because I don't,
We can ask for it.
X is on, is that repeal? Incentives authorized, taxes. Taxes. And, do we get, when was that one last? This is, Department of Taxes, incentives authorized.
chapter 150.
I think
2021 is the one I could find.
was the last time.
I can't find it.
2021.
Shall we just do it on request? Or, I don't know.
I don't even see chapter 150. Like it doesn't exist.
It doesn't, 32 BSA,
Yeah,
section
Amendment 32.
3340A,
B340.
section 3340A. And,
Chapter 105. 33, B334, businesses in a qualifying labor market area.
I'm thinking it doesn't need to come to us. All right, so we could remove, oh, it doesn't come to us, comes to joint fiscal. No, it comes to Senate
Right
appropriations.
there.
And we get joint fiscal. So, I guess we could remove Senate approps.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one.
Oh my God, well, we've got one that just came in, best practices.
On the pharmacy.
Yeah,
But that leads into discussion around the PBM and our,
well, I know,
drug list and preferred drug list and all that, but let's just ask for it. It is important
But
to understand the savings that we get and how much we can reinvest in.
but it's even more than best practices, and it has to do with new drugs coming on the
Yes,
market,
right.
you know, I mean,
PBM.
we just got one, yeah. All right, so we'll just say upon request. Is that the first column, I guess?
Second column, I think. Oh, no, that is the first column. Repeal, but
All right, GA program report.
So, let me ask, where is back rent? The back rent program?
Yeah, well, some of it has been in GA, but a lot of the back rent was under federal money and it
Yeah,
came from the HFA.
From DCF's point of view, the line item for that has been in the general assistance here. So this in the next block and the one on the previous page, they would all ought to be in one place. And if what we're hoping for as we try to wean ourselves away from hotels and motels and that sort of stuff, is the back rent program is, we're falling back to that program. So how does that all fit together?
How do I know?
Well, I'm just saying that in all of these reports, if they're all over the place.
Well, this maybe should go into that omnibus housing update.
Right.
Yeah, let's
The
do
next
that.
two.
That's what I'm saying, if we're counting on the back rent program, taking care of people as we move away from what we're doing now.
Well, all right, I think what we're just saying, this is all part of a consolidated, housing and emergency.
Because now we have emergency housing.
Yes, vouchers.
Again,
Yeah.
so I agree with.
All right, so I think we just need to take all those housing reports and consolidate them into.
Well, and particularly in a time if we're moving away from what we're doing now and trying to close the door on some of that.
Well, but there's difference between.
It's gonna take some effort around what back rent is and whatever else we restructure there to do something.
Okay. Treasurer's Local Investment Advisory Committee.
I have read that report.
You have
I think it is helpful. They have
local.
it. But they don't need to send it, they just put it on the website. I've been to the website and read it.
How many pages was it?
5, 6.
I don't remember getting
You
that.
read 5 pages?
That's it, in one sitting.
Whoa.
I don't remember getting that report.
Neither me, I went and looked for it.
Which
Why would
report?
you look for it?
How did it or why?
Because he's diligent.
Oh, because I was interested in what that group was doing.
Is that the 10%?
Which report are you looking at?
The treasurer's.
Oh, the treasurer's 10%.
It goes through their meetings that they had and what they
Yeah.
decided, and it's not much of a report, but it's helpful. I mean,
So how do you wanna,
extend it.
extend?
But hide it or keep it coming in?
I don't understand the hiding.
Well.
This is a centralized view.
It's a short-term report. It's still available if you ask for
I
it.
see.
It's not
Use the word.
stricken from statute. So I'm using that, like when you hide an app and.
Yeah.
Well,
I just think they
I
should
don't
do
think-
the report. I don't think they need to send it to all these committees.
That's the way I feel.
all right,
But I want it to be there on the website, not hidden. You have to ask.
Well,
I know you-
It's under another title.
I don't want to have to ask for it. I
No,
want to
all
just
right,
We
get it.
want to hear.
all right, so the answer is what,
I think it's
retain?
extend, the middle one.
The middle one, okay. Alright.
It is helpful for some of those reports to go to joint fiscal.
Yeah.
And staff.
I don't see
But
joint
those
fiscal is
reports are-
listed here.
Okay, here's a question.
Yes,
So these reports will no longer be posted on committee web pages.
Madam Chair, I'm just looking at the agenda. Has the Commissioner of Corrections, have they rescheduled?
no, they're coming in at 2:15.
Good on
It's
I'm
2:15.
thinking they may be out in the hall.
Oh, all right, we'll have to put this on hold.
I don't, well, we should probably take up the temporary employees employed by the Department of Corrections.
Is that one of the reports? We can ask them about it when they come in.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
We
It's
can
the
see,
next report up.
we can ask them if they think they should keep the report.
Well, one of the next reports is a report by the Commissioner of Corrections.
We can ask him.
Maybe he has a
Well, the
position.
Secretary of Administration said it's getting better.
Yeah, it's down to, vacancy's down to 16%.
Yeah, 60.
For employees.
Quarterly report.
It seems like whenever we have an interest, then they put down, send us a report. When so much of, I don't know.
We can't do anything about it.
Wait, good to see you.
It's on upside down more than once.
Senator Brewer.
Nothing compared to John.
You sit in the cozy chair. No, I insist. I hate your arms on chairs.
At the St. Paul's.
Do you really? Oh, I actually don't like arms on chairs, but I'm not gonna sit there.
The 7 days is a great article.
Yeah.
A copy? You guys want a hard copy?
Sure. As long as you got it.
I'll run that. No,
If it's posted, I don't.
it is.
Oh, hey, we could do the minimalist. It says here, failure to respond will be taken to mean the report requirement will be repealed. How is that? Huh? Wow.
If we don't respond,
Oh, do you want a hard copy?
But we'll lose a lot of reports.
No, Ginny, I'm just being, whatever that word is.
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Okay. All right, well, we're back to the budget adjustment, and we are gonna be taking testimony from Department of Corrections on their, budget adjustment, which is to fund your side agreement, I guess. But before we start, we're trying to look at reports that should be either kept, repealed, or just asked for on, demand, and one of the reports comes from you, Department of Corrections, and it has to do with temporary employees, and we're supposed to, it says postponed to 2022.
Supposed to do it quarterly.
Quarterly on are you doing that?
This must have come.
Well, but there's
That was a
also,
very good question.
it was expired in 2022, so maybe they don't need to do it.
Maybe if it expired and no one is noticing. I'll tell you what, where it's noticed is the union. They track temporary, and I believe, human resources has that charge as well. So
It's data that we have, so I imagine it would be easy to pull together.
So we could ask for it on demand,
Yeah.
but not, are you reporting this quarterly?
I doubt it. We can. I'll tell you, we don't really use, I mean, we have very few temporary employees, and we're using them largely for individuals who retired and then want to come back and assist, basically do overtime shifts and that kind of thing, but
So I think you've answered our question.
Yeah.
I think we will repeal that.
that sounds lovely, especially if it's due quarterly.
Quarterly, I know, to appropriations, corrections, government operations, wow.
I mean, historically, the department used temporary employees totally differently, but with the staffing situation that we have now, if somebody wants to come work for us, we'll put them in a full billet and get them on the job.
Okay, well, thank you, that for the timing of our,
Remember it was hot here yesterday, now it's cold.
But we're getting things done, Senator.
all right, so we're going to.
No, not you, sir.
So we're going to go to your budget adjustment request, and you have staff here. So if you want to introduce yourself for the record and the staff you have.
Good afternoon, thanks for having us. My name is Nick Dillon, I'm the Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Corrections. I'll let Kristen and Isaac introduce themselves.
I'm Kristen Calvo, the Financial Director for GSC.
I'm Isaac Dino, the Policy Director.
And so we'll work with this document. Is that your plan?
Yep. I'll let Kristen take it, and then if you have questions, I'm happy to talk through any components of it.
There's a summary on page 2 we can reference back, but we can get right over to page 4 in section B 338, Correctional Services Appropriation. The first 3 lines there represent $11 million to complete paying for the side letter agreement that we have with the union currently. That is set to expire at the end of this fiscal year to align with the new bargaining contract that will begin July 1st.
One might assume that the new contract would reflect, I mean, once you've been doing this wage adjustment, imagine you're not gonna start doing it's gonna continue.
Yeah, so I think in general, we found some things in the side letters that worked really well and some things that didn't, and so there'll be some right sizing. And I'm hopeful that I think the key successful components will ultimately be factored into the overall contract.
All right, so that's fairly significant, 11
million, yeah.
general fund.
Correct.
Salary, bonuses,
Just one
retirement, go ahead, Senator.
question. In my mind, when I see this 8 million in bonuses and fringe, what happens when those bonuses and fringe go away? Do those seem like a pay cut to those individuals?
So,
Or how do you handle that?
yeah, it's an excellent question, Senator. As you'll remember, we had the contract with VSEA, and this was money above and beyond that. We subsequently negotiated next year's contract, and that's ongoing, so I can't talk too much in depth about that, but I think our goal is not to have folks fall off a cliff, but see a steady continuation of the benefits that we think are most helpful to compensate the staff who are putting in really long hours and doing good work.
So, can I follow up on it? Is this where we'd see when you're on TV saying you get a $2,000 bonus for sign up? Is that part of this too?
The bonus, the $2,000 sign-on bonus, yes, was included in that side letter.
In that 8.8?
Yes.
So that would come and that would be one time.
Yeah, but for example, in police work, where people are working tremendous overtime, and then they get a full complement of officers and the overtime goes way down, it's like getting a pay cut because you've been used to getting, say, 70,000 and now you're back to 50.
Yeah, so we are.
I guess that's my question.
Yeah, and my only point is how much of this is truly one time
2,000.
and how much of this is not.
Well, I think it's gonna get into what gets embedded ongoing through the contract negotiations, because the side letter is really just a time-limited response. And as we're saying, once they've been put in place, particularly some of the salary enhancements, to deal, which we understand it's been successful, you're down to about 16%. That's what we were told yesterday or whatever.
From over 30%.
Yeah, so we are anticipating that we're gonna be seeing this ongoing higher expenditure for staffing in order to deal with the stability and the adequacy of particular correctional officers. I would assume we'll see it in the 25 budget as well.
I believe that you will without forecasting
I know you can't comment, but I would suspect that we would see some reflection of this, so.
But we are sensitive to the senator's concern that we don't want people to be depending on a certain amount of money and then that stops one day. What we do know though is one of the primary drivers of the high cost is overtime. And for many individuals, they don't want to be working that overtime. But it's been a requirement of our system in order to staff a critical infrastructure. So if we can find ways to lower the pressure on staff and make sure we're compensating people, I think there's a happy medium in there somewhere, and that's what we're hoping to strike in the negotiation.
That can lead.
It can, it really can, but it's been
Well, if you have to
encouraging.
cut your budget by $800 a month, for example, it's a significant amount for a monthly budget.
Absolutely, and yet we hear all the time from VSEA that, the time demands, work demands, scheduling, forced overtime, it's been a real source of and so you can't say you don't have to work those hours and still retain the benefit of overtime wages, so it really is going to be a transition period of time.
One of the other tools we used this year, Senator, was the market factor analysis. So the Department of Human Resources studied our system, the correction system, as well as the correction systems in our region and nationally, and then looked at comparable employers in Vermont to figure out were we right-sized. And that analysis said we're a little below where we should have been. And so we're using that type of analysis to figure out what is a good compensation rate for an officer coming into the Department of Corrections as well. Trying to take that data-driven approach to solve these issues.
Okay. Yes,
Of these A through G on that sheet, not on that sheet, on the sheet that has the things.
Okay.
I just wondered which of those things would you say was the most helpful, or were they all kind of,
we were in the 12-hour shifts.
yeah, that's not on here, because that didn't change the cost.
Right, the 12-hour shifts, were part of this, but are not a monetary consideration here. They basically, in agreement to get 12-hour shifts as a feature of our system, these are some of the things we agreed to compensate them for that. The 12-hour shifts, I think, are a significant reason that we're a successful downward trend. Looking at this list,
Downward trend of patients.
correct, yeah, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Usually the downward trend is a bad thing. Here, we're looking for as low a number as we can. It's like golf. We're just trying to hit par here.
You understand that analogy? The golf.
That may or may not have been targeted at Senator Seward, sorry. Let's see. I think A was a big one. That's those basically work bonuses for working security shifts. The standby pay was critical. We're taking ourselves out of that space, and I can explain some of that if you would like on how we did that. But basically we didn't have enough facility staff to cover hospital coverage when an individual went to the hospital, so we're using our probation parole staff. They had to be paid a standby wage if they were on those schedules waiting to be called up. We have created a dedicated team to manage hospital coverage, and that has almost eliminated the need for the field staff. So that dollar amount would go away. I think we were, yeah, that was a huge deliverable, and there's a couple of key members of our team who designed that, and just, it really is in some ways a silver bullet that we were seeking for about a year and a half.
I think it was having an impact on criminal activity as well.
I bet it was, yeah.
When they were not being supervised, offenders were not being supervised in the community because somebody was at the hospital.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Can be two places at once?
No. Hard to do.
We've not seen as much success with the recruitment referral incentive.
I was gonna wonder if that academy progression bonus had any impact.
I think the progression bonus, so that's the $2,000 or so that the gentleman was speaking about. It's paid out over a period of time. The longer you stay, the more of it you get. I don't know that we've seen the efficacy of that. Unfortunately, I thought that maybe that would be more of an incentive. That's essentially a sign-on bonus. And I don't know that that's really helped all that much. So some of these are kind of all over the place, and some we know work really well. So I'm trying to build the ones that work into the future.
I can't believe that $2,000 would do too much. I just have a friend did a signing bonus as a nurse and got $20,000. So your $2,000, I don't think would go very far.
Right. And it very well could be we just can't hit a high enough dollar figure to make it.
$20,000.
Where? I'm headed there.
It's at a hospital not far from you.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, we know it's been a challenge, at least it's encouraging, and, the last, I don't know if the, class at Linden State was the last class to go through, but certainly was a very, good size.
Yeah.
Group of, officers who were, completed the program.
Yeah, our academy classes have been running significantly over our normal average. So we're moving a lot of people into the system, and we just started to see the first indications that folks are staying longer than they have been in the past. And that is really the critical piece. We're actually pretty good at the recruitment part. It's the retention part that we need to master. And we're starting to see progress on that front.
Tough job with a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
It's a tough
Yeah.
job.
Where do they go to though? Where, they leave your employment, but where are they going?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of data on that. We have an exit interview process that people can voluntarily participate in, and we get kind of mixed results from that, or folks aren't willing to share. We have seen in the last year or so, folks coming back, they'll leave the system when they come back and want to rejoin, so that also seems to be positive. And I've talked to a few of those folks out in the
So
facility.
they left and it wasn't
Grass
quite
wasn't
as-
greener, yeah.
Although,
Don't
you know, working in facilities is difficult, and a lot of people just
It is.
find that it's work or want to work after they get there. I mean, when that door closes behind you, it's a whole different world.
Don't want to create a report on it, but it might be a good idea to take a look at how we could, people are at that point, how we could give them 6 months.
Oh, like a respite?
Yeah, respite,
Yeah,
not with
So
pay
a
necessarily,
rotation.
but with,
Uh-huh.
go sell cars or
so
work
we're
on the farm or whatever.
just starting to launch, I mentioned the exit interviews, we're also just starting to launch a stay interview process. So basically, frankly, good supervisors should be doing this anyway, but talking to staff who are a few months in, a couple times a year, just to, hey, why are you still here? Are you thinking of leaving? What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like?
Word it differently.
Do you want to put that idea in your head if they're not thinking? Why are you still here?
Well, we want to make sure we catch them before they do and get ahead of that as much as we can.
Do you have a departure payment?
Yeah. One thing I will say though is just
That's a
philosophically.
new concept, but
Philosophically, I don't think that our institutions have to be as hard places to work. And so I think that's the work that our department really needs to take on. And it has started to do some of that, but really needs to lean into to say, we don't have to accept that these are hard places to live and work. We can make adjustments that make them better. And I think that will certainly help us on the retention front. And also I think that's in alignment with our department's values, the values of the state.
well, it's,
It's a heavy lift, but
it is a heavy lift, and there are things you can either make a difficult thing more difficult or sustainable. And so, Center Star, you applying, you want to be a correctional officer?
Well, no, I was just
No.
thinking, I mean, if I had, I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. And if I brought my employees in and asked them why they were still working for me, they might ask me if I was losing my mind. So, I think I would ditch that one.
Maybe you could phrase the question.
They usually tell me why they'd still like to stay with me. If I could just get a little more money. But my real question is, on the 12-hour shifts, so is that a 3-day and then a 4-day week?
no, so we adopted a model that's a 2-day on, 2-day off, 3-day on, 3-day off. So it's a 2-2-3 model. And the reason we did that is it gives more interruptions in a pay period for folks to get time off to recuperate. But more importantly, in a 2-week pay period, you get a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every pay period, every staff member. And that's something we could never deliver in the past.
But the 3 days are never consistent, are they?
They change, but it guarantees you a 3-day weekend over the weekend, every pay period.
I have to figure out the math on how that works.
Well, they must have.
Did somebody
Yeah, we can
sit
bring
down
you
with
the
a computer
schedule.
and-
He has a very creative group over there.
Yeah, did Isaac do that?
It's actually Travis Denton. our,
36 hours
facility
trying to
director.
figure out how to make sure that worked?
So that means, 7 days in a 14-day pay period, you work, 7 days you have off. They're separated out, 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 3 off. And that rotates so that you always get a 3-day weekend. It also means if you're really savvy and you pick the right 2 days, you can take 2 days of annual leave and have 7 days off in a row. So you can take less leave and get good chunks of time to go on holiday with your family, vacation, wherever you want to go.
Assuming that,
But that kind of a shift though, I can't see how you'd ever get used to it.
Yeah,
And Kraft Foods used to run a shift similar to that up home. And one of the biggest reasons their help would get done is that they couldn't get used to the switching in times and the switching in days and Yeah, don't disrupt the work where you've got changing.
Yeah.
But it's
You know,
regular, it's just every other week.
yeah, and your shift, so you work 6 to 6 or 6 to 6, some facilities have, and they got to decide what
It's a
hours.
long day though.
Well, they were working 16 hours a day though, so this is.
And they didn't have the choice.
And they didn't have a choice. I'll tell you, this wasn't invented here. Vermont didn't discover this, you know, and we don't get to stamp our name on it. It's actually used quite frequently in law enforcement and hospital settings and
And
other correctional
eliminates the
settings
shift
around the
too.
country.
That's
And it's
third shift,
very
because you only have two.
It is.
with our staff here in Vermont.
Dartmouth Hitchcock has used a 12-hour shift for nursing as well. And people like it. So it seems to be one that,
I worked a lot of 12-hour days and I know those last two. Were
I can tell you
long,
about.
they were long hours.
And that's part of the-
36 on and 12 off.
Part of the beauty of
My
working
husband-
2 to 3 is you have 2 days of 12-hour shifts, then you have 2 days off. Then you have 2 days, and you have 2 days off. So you don't go 4 12-hour days in a row and then have a few days to recover. So it's broken up more, which can be challenging, but it also gives you that recuperation time.
Well, if it's working, great.
more questions on the compensation, on the correctional services? So now we're down to healthcare contract.
Yes, the 2.2 million is in addition to the FY 24 budget request, as at that point, we are still negotiating a new contract. So this is from the best and final offer period, where the contractor did a deep dive into our system and made recommendations on how we can provide better care, using that contract. So it represents about 10.5, I believe, additional FTEs that include an addictionologist, some reentry staff support, a grievance coordinator, and then some other frontline medical staff. As well as additional funds for contracted staff, which would give us a buffer if they had to overutilize the agency nursing, which is a big problem for us as well.
What's the total on that contract?
The first 3-year period is 113 million, and there's 2 additional 1-year extensions. So if we were to exercise those 2 extensions, it would be 200 million for the 5 years.
So, but it could be terminated in what year without?
Anytime.
Yeah, the state has that built into the contract. We'd have to give a notice
Are
period.
you aware of what's going on in Massachusetts with WellPath? And Senator Markey and Elizabeth Warren interest in WellPath?
Yeah, and I think that's a healthy examination of this space here in Vermont nationally. I think the reality is pretty stark, and that is we have very few vendors who provide health services in correctional facilities, and we have very few options if we don't select one of those vendors. And so we're trying to make the best decision with a lot of choices that are maybe less than optimal, and we'll continue to watch that very carefully, and if we do need to make an investment.
It seemed, it appeared that many of the concerns expressed in Massachusetts were similar to the ones that we heard from during the justice oversight meetings this summer. So I just, worries me that a company that
Certainly. It is worth remembering they just started in July, so we're still only have a certain amount of information on them as how they operate here in Vermont, but it's something we're
Different
gonna
company than
monitor very closely.
no, it's the same company,
Same country as Massachusetts.
WellPath. I did, hopefully we're able to monitor them. It's good to know that you can end the contract.
And I share your concerns, Senator, to be very candid. We need to make sure
Your
that,
challenge is, if you terminate it, what do you have?
where do you go? When we put it out for bid this year, we only had 2 bidders, WellPath and another company, to choose between. And we've done some analysis to figure out, because we've heard from advocates that the state should take one and do it in-house. And that's fraught with its own challenges, but we also did some analysis and figured out that it'd probably be about 3 times as expensive.
No, I was saw that.
So, and just, so we did look at that in justice oversight, and we will probably bring you or Annie in, or, but I know she did the back of the envelope. You did the back of the envelope, you did the front of the envelope. Yeah.
She used Excel, but yeah.
So, well, no, we'll have you in to talk about that and
Absolutely.
whether or not it makes any sense at all to explore Medicaid going forward.
But you're looking at the performance, keeping
Yes.
an eye on it.
Yes.
I will say, I haven't seen how Massachusetts, pay structure work, or how they, pay the vendor for services. I will say Vermont designed its own, contract terms, and we did not let WellPath deviate from that during the negotiations, which is really, and so we have these measures of performance that are required for them to meet before we pay. And so that's one way that we have some
I don't
leverage.
think Massachusetts does that, but they
And I noticed that in the
They
letter.
also have county, contracts with counties.
Oh, okay,
The
sure.
detention.
And as you know, that's not the case in Vermont, we do everything, and so we, in some ways, can create an economy of scale, even though we're a very small state.
But the complaints were, we heard this summer from various
Yeah.
groups and constituents.
But you've been around this business for a long time, Senator, and I think if we replace the name, put a different name in, we hear very similar complaints. So our job is to make them, abide by
Oversight
the
of the
terms and
contract
provide
is
the
the
greatest healthcare they
No,
can.
no.
But that's a challenge.
Absolutely,
That's
it's
right,
one of our
we're
largest
pushing that.
challenges.
Other questions on the contract, so this is the additional money on top of the 113?
Correct.
Other questions around the money, or we're down
No,
to
I
justice
think-
reinvestment?
That would be neutral. It's going, I believe, to various programs.
Justice for
Yes.
investment? Yeah, you can.
Sure, so it's over in the GC column to the far right. These are Medicaid dollars that we use on our transitional housing program for those grantees that provide eligible services. This is actually carried forward.
So that would be like pathways?
Yeah, Pathways is one of those grantees.
That's it?
That's it.
Other comments or questions? Obviously, you'll be back with your, actually, budget. So I, don't see any further questions, so I guess we're all set for today. It's very helpful.
Thank you very
I
much.
guess we'll get rid of that report.
Appreciate that as well. If you do want information on the temporary positions we have, we're happy to share that anytime, of course.
And we have historical data. We
I know,
can
I
there.
know, I'm sure you do.
No, that was quite an issue a few years back.
It really was. But something gets put in a few years back based on circumstances, and then it has like the life cycle of I don't know, clockwork, it never goes away. So we're getting rid of it.
Which one are we getting rid of?
We're getting
Oh,
rid
the
of temporary
temporary
employees,
employees, yeah.
quarterly report.
Yeah,
You know, I made temporary.
Very few, and not used in the same way that they were used. All right, thank you all very much. Nice to see you.
Thank you. So do you have another, group of correctional officers, at Academy?
Yeah, the academy's going on right now. I think they have 35, and then 2 probation parole staff going through it as well. So, yeah. It's another, I'd say the average was 20. That's kind of what we normally would run, and so pretty high over that number.
Are those Linden requests?
Yep.
Did you move into the Linden campus?
No.
They're still in the
They're in the-
industrial park?
Yep. But we do the graduation.
Some people have suggested using the campus,
Campus.
Yeah.
but anyway. Yeah, you take the whole thing, well,
Take the whole
graduation,
family.
yeah, well, actually, for graduation, there were a lot of families.
Yeah, it's great. That's why we have to find bigger spaces than we can.
Will the
accommodate.
37 lower the 16%?
I hope so. Those folks I think are already
They're
factored
already-
in, but the next academy would be counted as the, I guess, the vacancy.
How many employees do you have total?
More than upper 900s right now as far as filled positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you run 24/7, why that requires.
And the field, folks doing community supervision. It's about 600 and something facility staff, a couple hundred field staff, and then administrative.
Who knows, any day next week we can meet for lunch.
Yeah,
Besides
absolutely.
Thursday.
Okay, absolutely will. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
All right, thank you.
We're gonna take a break until 3, and then we have, DCF coming.
10 minutes.
I know.
Isn't that?
Think of all the reports we did now.